You're listening to The Sizzle on Iron Skillet Radio and Iron Skillet Television.
Welcome in, everyone. You know what it is. It's The Sizzle here on Iron Skillet Radio, Iron Skillet Television. Oh, baby, it's a hot show getting ready to come up. We got a lot to talk about. We got football to talk about. We got baseball to talk about. A lot happening in the region. But look, man, before we can do any of that, I got to throw it over and say, how you doing, Jay? What's good today?
Man, I took a nap this afternoon, and I woke up, man. I had the greatest dream, man. I got to tell you about it in the next segment when we talk about it. Was something amazing. I dreamed it, man. It seemed like it was so real. We'll talk about it when we talk about the Bears.
Oh, okay, cool. Well, before we get to the Bears, let's talk about what's going on Done. So let's talk about the Done. All right, Jay, the Chicago White Sox and the Chicago Cubs have come together in a wonderful amazement of terribleness. It has been a cavalcade of crosstown poopery.
Yeah.
It is the Crosstown Classic that is becoming a poop fest for everyone.
Yeah.
I will say that today the Cubs were victorious, pulling out a 10-8 victory as the White Sox tried to rally, but it is looked bad for the Southsiders. So let's focus in on the Southsiders for a minute. They are 2-10 out of their last 12. They haven't looked good since the early parts of September. They were in some series, that Detroit series, they look pretty good in. But other than that, they're slumping at the wrong time, Jay. Can you tell me what's going on with the Sox? Does anybody know what's going on with the Sox?
No, nobody knows what's going on with the Sox. I mean, they just won Saturday. That stopped a 6-game losing streak. But before that, they've been so red behind, they started fighting with Jose Contreras over there on Friday because of his bat flip. Now, this was the greatest bat flip I've ever seen. He flipped that bat nearly out of the baseball stadium. It was higher. It was higher than the home run he hit.
Really?
It was ridiculous. It was the greatest bat flip I've ever seen. It was absolutely the greatest one. And then David Ross was talking about, I don't see any problem with it. Had it been on the other side, they'd been battling out there. I don't know, like you said, with the White Sox, you got the AL MVP Abreu. He's been knocking in more people, batting better than anybody in the American League. But for whatever reasons, he's hot and everybody else is not. Luis Roberts got to start hitting the ball. It's just one of these situations where everybody's not coming together and their pitch is not holding up. I don't know. They are sliding at exactly the wrong time. Get ready to go into these playoffs. They're limping in. But hopefully they can catch fire here on the back end. So I don't know.
Yeah, they haven't looked good since as I said, around the middle of September when they had their Detroit series and their Twin series. They have looked horrible, as you said. Last 6 games, except for Saturday, they salvaged to make it look respectable against the Cubs. But it's been bad. Pitching has failed them. Hitting has gone south for the winter. It's a terrible thing. And I don't know if you can have this type of slide going into the playoffs. I don't know if this will be – I don't know what it means for them, really, because I never expected the White Sox to be here. So let me say that. I didn't expect for them to be in this position. And now that they're here, do you think maybe expectations are too great for them at this point because of where they are?
I said earlier, early on before the COVID even hit, well, after the COVID hit, I said the White Sox were the best team in baseball. Remember I said that was well back at the beginning of the season before it got halted. I still think they're one of the best teams in baseball. They should be able to bash the ball around. But for whatever reasons, they cannot stay consistent. And they're leaping in. They're leaking into the playoffs backwards right now. And I just don't. I'm not understanding if they're relying just to go on the long ball right now. Everybody's sitting back, swinging for the fences. They need to play a little small ball, get some people on base. Today, I think they were losing. They needed to win today. They were losing against the Cubs. I think it was 8-1. Now, from what I understand, it was 10-8. So I'm not sure if they won or lost. I'll check it later on. But it's these type of situations where they're getting no offense. How are you getting no offense like this from a team who's built around offense? You know, so I'm not really sure. If they do anything like this, though, keep this slump going, they're going to be washed out in the first round, and that'll be sad to see because this team is good enough to go win it all.
Let me ask you real quick. With their management team, just what you see on the field from what's been done this year, do you think they have a manager that can take them to that next level and win them a championship?
You know, Ricky Renteria does a lot of stuff that's questionable. A lot of things he does is questionable. He just a lot of moves that he makes. You know, he puts people in motion when he doesn't need to do that. You see guys making base running mistakes that they shouldn't be doing that. He needs to be pulling his left fielder out of close ball games. He needs to be pulling that left fielder out of there, Jimenez, and sitting him on the bench in the 7th inning because his bat's not worth giving up 1 or 2 runs out in the outfield. So I think he's a guy who probably is just too loyal to his teammate, to his ball players. He lets them, he gives them a long leash, and sometimes these guys are not capable of being on the end of that leash and playing good baseball. They need to tighten this thing up, but the whole problem is right now in that locker room, who's really running that locker room? Who is the captain for the White Sox? Is it Tim Anderson? I don't think so. Is it Jose Abreu? Definitely not. You know what I'm saying? They're the mouthpieces for, but there's nobody setting the tone for the White Sox right now. And so I think that's where you see a lot of these problems right now, these guys not being consistent. I think a lot needs to be done. I'm sure they're working hard, but let's get in there and let's start swinging the bats. Because this postseason is going to be over so quick. And this is a chance now between them and the Northsiders that either one of them have a chance to win a Major League Baseball championships.
Well, it would be amazing. It would really be amazing. But I get it's such a stressful situation. You saw that Ron Gardner retired. I mean, I say he quit, but they say, well, he retired. He stepped away for health reasons. And Regis Lloyd Clinton stepped in as the skipper. But it's a lot of pressure. And I'm not saying that Ricky Renteria is a bad skipper. I'm just saying I don't know if he's the one that will lead them to that pennant race, as you said, because of the questionable moves that he's made and because they are going through a historical slump. They're going through, it seems like a mid-season slump, but it's at the end of the season. They are going through that slump that really, that slide, if they slide into the playoffs like this, as you said, it'll be a very, very, very quick out for them. So shout out to the Sox, man. I still believe.
Well, you know, the thing about it is with the Sox, it's not so much can you just play consistent baseball? Can you get guys on second base and then move those guys to third? A little small ball would help right now. But you don't see that out. Either they explode for 5 or you get nada. You know, and they got to put the ball in play. That's what you got to see out here because this is not the greatest fielding team in the world out there. Just not. You know, Tim Anderson's good over there, but he's not great. Abreu's good at first, but not great. You know, they got a deep. Their center fielder's a good center fielder, but definitely their left fielder is not going to win a Gold Glove anytime soon. So you got problems around the diamond right now, but that could only be look when you're hitting home runs and scoring runs. All your woes out in the fields don't make that much of a difference. But when you start losing these 3-1 ball games, these 4-2 ball games because you can't generate enough offense because you made knucklehead plays out in the on the defensive side, that's where this stuff's going to tell. And we know you're not going to score 6, 7, 8 runs in the playoffs. It don't happen that way.
Right. At this point, are you impressed with what you've seen from the Cubs, or do you still think there's room for them to grow?
I don't know if they're gonna grow no more. Am I impressed? I mean, they backed in to the Central, I do believe.
They were like,
they backed in because other teams are eliminating themselves basically. They still gotta close a problem. You're still relying too heavily on John Lester to carry and grind some innings out for you. So you're looking at these situations. I think Hugh Darvish has to be lights out.
Right.
I'll say lights out. He has to be lights out for them to win this thing. Hendricks has to be able to nibble around the plate, keep the ball in the yard. They're going to have to score. He's going to give up a couple of runs, 2 or 3 runs. So the Cubs are going to have to hit the baseball. Right now, Schwarber's got to hit the baseball. Bryant's got to hit the baseball. It sounds like a broken record, but those guys need to hit the baseball. I just think defensively they're a little bit better because you got Javi Baez out there, the magician, who can make spectacular plays for you. Now, I know he just tweaked himself the other day, making a throw to first base. So we got to see if that's going to hinder him at all. I haven't heard that it was going to. But, you know, those things sometimes don't show up right away. Sometimes they show up later on after they get a chance to set in. So we'll see with the Cubs. I think the Cubs will be the Cubs. You can see them just blowing people out in the series, or you can see them going over in the series and getting swept. I mean, I would not be surprised either. I wouldn't be surprised either way. You know what I'm saying? So that's a frustration of baseball in Chicago. But how can we be frustrated when we got one team on top of the division and one team in second in the division?
You're right. It's really hard to be frustrated when you've got two teams that are winning. It may not be great, but it's winning baseball, and we're talking about the North and the South side. So I don't have a problem with it. I just, as a diehard Southsider, I don't know if I'm really that diehard though. I mean, we like saying diehard because it sounds good.
You know what's weird, man? When I was growing up, like I was on the South side. Like the White Sox were the South Side baseball team because it was only on the South Side. But a lot of people were Cubs fans, even on the South, even up on the South Side. I remember a lot of my friends were Cubs fans. They're like Jose Cardinal, and we watched the Cubs way more than we ever watched the White Sox. But that's because they were on the Superstation too. WGN was broadcasting those games everywhere. And in the summertime, that was the only thing to watch because you didn't see too many White Sox games because they were on channel, what was that, 26 or something like that?
Yeah.
That you had to stand on, WCIU. I think you had to stand on the roof with a piece of tinfoil. You know, you had
to have the pliers, and your dad would be like, "No, go over there."
Yeah,
no, come back.
I mean, so we watched those games back in those days. You know, the Carlton Fisk of the world and stuff like that. We were watching that, but as a kid, though. We were there when disco demolition was going on.
I was going to ask you, were you a part of the disco demolition?
No, but I remember it like it was yesterday. It was really weird because I think it was 1977-ish, somewhere around there. And Steve Dahl was huge in Chicago. In Chicago. And they hated disco, and we were house heads back then, so that European disco was mixed in with house music, and so we liked the disco. Well, the rock and roll guys, the wanted just playing pure rock and roll, the REO Speedwagon type guys, they didn't like it, and they went up in there. They brought all those disco albums into Kaminsky Park, and he set them all on fire in the middle of it. They did so much damage to that field, setting that field on fire. And
who signed off on that to have a demolition truck come in, fire? Didn't they almost set the outfield on fire?
Yeah, they did. They actually had to replace a good part. And then you had all those people down there trample the field out. It took them 2 or 3 days to get that field back playable again. I mean, it was just how they trashed it. And you got to remember too, you had you had a carnival marksman basically. Running the White Sox then. I'm drawing a blank on his name, but that was back in the day when the White Sox were playing baseball in shorts. Remember?
Right.
And they had the big collars on their shirts. They looked like they were from the 1969 Disco Inferno dance-offs. And I can't think of his name right now. I'm drawing a blank on it. And So they were all about showmanship. And so with the South Side, you got to remember back in those days too, baseball was important, but it was something that you do. The Bears ruled the day. That's just what it was. The White Sox the White Sox were something to go do. You could just walk up and buy a White Sox ticket. You didn't have to worry about it being filled. It never was going to be. And then the Cubs were they were still losing back in those days too. But the friendly confines were still filled with people all the time. It was just a big party going on the north side. So it was very different, but very interesting though. So yeah. So the White Sox have always been the second team, even on the south side.
Yeah, well, we'll see who becomes the first team as we progress into the playoffs and get ready for the Winter Classic of the World Series. Sounds so weird. It just I don't know, something about it just feels weird.
You got all types of stuff going on at one time. You got the NHL. I mean, they're in their finals right now. You got the Western Conference. The Lakers just clinched. You got baseball going full steam. You got football getting started off. You know, you're going to have NCAA basketball going here pretty soon. So, yeah, it's just a weird time to have all these sports going at one time.
Yeah, it's all a cavalcade of foolishness, and now we get to we get to watch it right here in Chicago as we get to see the Chicago something defeat the nobodies that we don't know.
Yeah, you know, so it's interesting. MLS soccer's going on. It got all types of stuff happening, man. So it's crazy.
Yeah. So, okay, I guess it's time for us to go on and give the people what they want. Let's head to the gridiron and let's open up the playbook. Okay, Jay, were you ready for a football explosion today? We weren't even in the city of Chicago. We were in the lovely confines of the Mercedes-Benz Dome. It sounds so regal. You're just like, oh, I'm in a Benz Dome. And then the hosts were treated very badly by the Chicago Bears. It was a rump rouser. It was a rump rucker. It was a rump to rump. Is that a word?
Send all your letters to SiZZLE at the SiZZLE. If you play letters, send them to him.
I'm gonna tell you now. I don't know if anybody was complaining today because the Bears pulled out at the 3-0 Bears. Would you like to say that again?
Wow,
the 3-0
I know
Bears.
that's crazy.
Can you say that 3-0 Bears? Did you see this game coming? Because I'm telling you now, this game was a wallapalooza.
Well, I told you,
I can't find a good enough word for it though. I'm still trying to find a word. Can I don't know. Look. I don't know. I can't find that word. No. But I tell you what, that 30-26 thumping, that was a wallapalooza there, buddy. Were you ready?
Look, I told you before, I was just surprised. Well, my dream was that I was sitting on the couch.
Okay. Oh, yes, right.
I had a dream.
Okay.
And, you know, I said earlier, once Mitchell pulled these 2 ball games out, we might go 6 games in before Mitchell stinks it up enough that they actually put it in Nick Foles. And I took a nap, and then all of a sudden, I just had this dream. And I said, wow, what if Mitchell Trubisky throws an interception that just ticks off Matt Nagy so bad because it was an absolute wrong read, and he pulls in Nick Foles? And then I woke up and I said, that's what happened. Look.
It was amazing. It was amazing. It was amazing.
Look, man, Matt Nagy, he looked like he was the Sandman at the Apollo Theater. You know what I'm saying? He came dancing out there with that hook.
Behind the mask, too, he was just like,
with that hook, and he hit him with the hook. Because that was, when you have the commentators going, you know, Mitchell Trubisky just got fooled completely by that defense. And he threw it right. I mean, when he threw it right to him, one thing about Mitch, though, I give it to him, he is Charlie Hustle, high school hustle. He went and chased that guy down. He could have very easily let that guy go and score. He caught him. And you know, I'll give him, Mitchell's a competitor. You know what I'm saying? He's just not an NFL. He's just not an NFL number 1 quarterback. He's just not.
Okay, so Okay, I'm at a crossroads. Should we just throw out the numbers to the people? Should we give them raw numbers, or should we just go into the conversation? I mean, it's up to you. Which one do you want to do? Because we can give them the numbers.
Give them some numbers. Give them some numbers of what's going on. They need to have some understanding of what we're talking about.
Okay, so if you are just waking up, you might have been asleep, you might have been on another planet just for a little while, and you didn't see this afternoon's Bears-Falcons game. Just a recap of some of the things that went on. It was an interesting game that saw the Bears score 20 points in the fourth quarter. Do you want me to repeat that to you, my friend? 20 points in the fourth quarter. It was phenomenal.
You know what was weird about that? Yeah, I know. You know what's weird about that? Nick Foles was put in a position to throw into coverage I know he wouldn't throw into. Like that one he threw, the first pass he threw when he first came into the end zone to Robinson, that was a touchdown. I don't know where, and I'm not drinking Kool-Aid on that one. It was a simultaneous catch. They both had it when he hit the ground. He wrestled it away from him. Now maybe he caught the ball more than Allen Robinson did, but they still caught it at the same time.
I don't know. I texted out when we were in the group chat, and if you're not with the SiZZLE group chat, you can feel free. It's free.
Yeah,
join the SiZZLE group chat.
We have a good time.
Oh, we were talking about it, and I said, foot, shoulder. Does that mean down? I mean, I'm thinking you got two body parts in. You definitely had his foot down.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, okay, well then he went to the ground. So when he went to the ground, the defender took it. How was that not a touchdown?
My whole thing was,
I don't know.
The defender caught the ball more than Allen Robinson caught it, but they caught it at the same time. And to me, that looked like a situation where that was a touch. However, so that meant that Nick Foles actually threw 5 touchdowns on the day. You know what I'm saying? It had people caught the ball. I think these wide receivers was just surprised that the ball was getting put on them. Right. You know, and then it was 2 or 3 times these guys down the sidelines. He was throwing back shoulder balls to them. And they wouldn't stop and come back to the ball because I don't think they were used to seeing balls from Mitchell Trubisky like that. He's underthrowing those balls for a reason so you can come back and get it. So you can come back and
Allen
get it.
Robinson.
Allen Robinson.
I want to get paid.
Yeah.
Come back for the ball, sir. Come back.
He put it right there. You kept flying up the sidelines. It's like, dudes, put the brakes on and come back and get the football. You know?
Well, you know what? Given that point, and to their credit, they have been used to playing with Mitch, and you just go. It's speed and you go.
Right.
But let me give you some numbers. Let me give you some breakdown numbers of the first half. Mitchell Trubisky was 13 out of 22 for 59%. He threw 128 yards with 1 TD, 1 interception. He had a decent quarterback rating of 71.8. It was good. But then you had Foles come in. And when Nick Foles came in the second half, he went 16 out of 29 for 188 yards, 3 touchdowns, the 1 interception we were just talking about, and he had a QBR of 95.2. Put that in your peace pipe and smoke that. Wow. Let me give you some other numbers, some rushing yards. David Montgomery was 14 attempts for 45 yards. Killed my fantasy team. Thank you, David Montgomery. Thank you. It wasn't your fault that your longest run was 11 yards. But Mitchell Trubisky was 1 run for 45 yards, which, okay, so I got to say this. I normally don't call out people on tweets and things they've said, but I saw Hub Arkish said, you know, okay, if you pull Mitch and you put in Nick Foles, you know, Mitch is the better quarterback, and you're going to lose something when you take him out. Like, Nick Foles won't give you a 45-yard run, which is true. He might not have to give you a 45-yard run if he could have hit a man that would have caught the pass for 45 yards. Yeah. How about that? Yeah. How about any of those? How about going into the second half? It was frustrating because I was watching it and I was like, anytime Mitch, there was a 3rd and long they were on, Mitch overthrew by 10 yards. You're just like,
an easy 10.
Dude, it's 3rd and 8. Just what? Not 2nd and 8, not 1st and 8. It's 3rd and 8. This is the money time. So you see, and I see Anthony Miller, and I'm like, yeah, this is going to be bad. This is going to be bad. He gets on top of the safety. He gets on top of the route. Open, clear. It was a good touchdown. Mitch put the ball 5 yards in front of him.
Yeah.
5 whole yards in front of him.
Yeah. This was not the greatest all-star laden defense that they've ever played against. But Mitch was making this defense look a lot better than what it was because he was throwing the ball where it shouldn't have went to. And a couple of easy throws that he should have made to move the chains. His 3rd down, I mean, I was just like they were stymied, literally stymied. And it looked like as soon as they went out of man, they went to zone. Mitch didn't have a clue what to do. He didn't have a clue what to do.
Right.
Even that 45-yard run, he was not at full tilt coming down the field. He was running like he was waiting for somebody to hit him. That's what the thing that was scary about that. I was like, Mitch, you run a 4.6 and some change. You're fast. You're one of the faster people out there. Mm-hmm. He should have been putting them up and putting them down, and he wasn't. And so I just think he's a guy out there who has a lot of talent, a lot of physical talent, but he just doesn't have the experience, and nor do I think he's ever going to really have the experience to play quarterback in the NFL at a high level, because as soon as you saw Nick Foles come in there, you saw the Bears change. And you saw them blocking harder and running harder, and all of a sudden they believed.
Yeah. I was going to ask you specifically, is this salvageable for Mitchell Trubisky at this point?
No. This was his last chance right here. That was his last chance. I gave you the starting job out of camp because I've given you all the reps, all of them.
Mm-hmm.
And the problem is right now, you can't read defenses. Well, I knew that last year. So I went and got my guy. There was a reason why they didn't go get Cam Newton or somebody of that ilk. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Which we would have thought would have been a better quarterback to have in there, because Cam is a better quarterback than Nick Foles. But he brought in a guy who he didn't have to teach his offense, who knew his offense. And when Nick Foles came in, I saw Nick Foles make more changes at the line of scrimmage than I've ever seen Mitchell Trubisky do. I mean,
you saw Nick Foles talking to receivers, putting people in the right positions, saying, hey, look at the defense over here, check down over here, look over here. I don't even have any more words for it, but I was going to ask you before the show started. I'm looking at commentary and I'm seeing what people are saying about Matt Nagy.
Yeah.
Is Matt Nagy, does he deserve an award for acting as though he really wanted Mitch as his quarterback, but all the time, secretly, he's always wanted Nick Foles as the quarterback? Am I reading that wrong, or is that not what just happened?
No.
You just saw a man put in the quarterback he wanted.
I mean, I jumped to my feet. No, what you saw was a man who knew they had a mistake at quarterback, and it wasn't his fault. You know what I'm saying? And upper management wanted Mitchell Trubisky to work out, and it didn't work out, and they made him have to stay with Mitchell Trubisky last year. Because he realized after that first year, then going into the second year, Mitchell Trubisky could not read defenses. He knew it. And look, when you remember earlier in the year I told you, when he did not give a ringing endorsement about Mitchell Trubisky's work ethic. Like he did not eat and sleep quarterbacking, that he didn't know the playbook exactly how Matt Nagy knew the playbook. How can your quarterback not know the playbook as well as the head coach? That's a problem, and Matt Nagy put that out there. So Matt Nagy really did not want to keep Mitchell Trubisky. I believe he was pressured to do that, and I think he wouldn't brought in Nick Foles because he knew it wasn't going to be that big learning curve with Nick Foles, and they would at least have an NFL-ready quarterback to quarterback the Chicago Bears, who now may have a chance, to actually make some hay in this shortened COVID season. I don't know how many games we're actually going to get in, but the Bears have a chance. The Bears have a chance. You got injuries all over the place. They lost Tariq Cohen today, which is going to make them change that offense around, and possibly we'll get Cordero Patterson out of the backfield and put him, or he's probably going to play more now, but I'd rather see him in the slot. But we'll see what happens with that. But I just think you see Matt Nagy, who was like, why do I have to keep dumbing down my offense for a guy who obviously can't run it? And I think today he hit the fastest hook. I did not know that hook was going to come that fast. And I
don't think anybody knew it.
He hit that hook. He hit that hook so fast, and I was like, wow. How fast was that? And to Nick Foles' credit, he was ready to go. He stepped up in there, and he had at it, complete control of the offense. And absolutely amazing. And kudos to Nick Foles being ready to go. That's an NFL quarterback.
Right. Well, there are some things. There are a few things to point out and some things to look at. Number one, we discussed it early in the season that there was a reason why Cam Newton didn't come in. There was a reason why they really didn't look for any other quarterbacks outside of Nick Foles.
Yeah.
You made a financial investment in a trade for him, but you brought in someone who couldn't automatically take Mitchell's job, which I guess was the edict from the onset, which is problematic because I'm wondering if that's the edict from the onset. If he was told, and he being Matt Nagy, if he was told by upper management that they wanted Mitchell to get the first shot and they wanted him to be the quarterback, how do you then justify the quick hook today to bring in Nick Foles? Because really now you're asking yourself next week moving forward, and we know Nick Foles has never played more than 11 games in one season. So we do know that. He's never finished the season. So at this point, I don't know. Can you bring Mitchell back in unless there's injury to Nick Foles? This seems like this is a permanent change. Am I right or am I wrong?
Oh, this is a permanent
change. Because this seems like this is it.
This is a permanent change. I've given you the keys to I gave you the keys to the Ferrari. You brought it back with a bumper missing. You know what I'm saying? You're not driving my Ferrari anymore. I'm going to fix it, but you won't be driving the Ferrari anymore. And that's just basically what it was.
Yeah, mad shout out to Tariq Cohen. Our prayers with you. Hopefully you heal quickly.
Yeah, that was an ugly injury.
It looked bad.
Yeah.
But this does also open up the door for those of you who, if you were listening to our fantasy segment when we talked about the fantasy minute, it's funny how one person can change some things.
Yeah.
So now Anthony Miller looks like the receiver we saw last year. And now you got Mooney looking like a rookie again. You've got Graham now. And shout out to those of you who followed SiZZLE's lead and picked up. You put Graham at your tight end.
Yeah.
That boy gave you 21 points today, 24 in some areas. But I'm just saying that it looked like a real NFL offense. It started moving. It started grooving, and you started to see those little wrinkles. You saw then Nick make throws. The throw he made to Graham that I thought was an interception. Yeah. It looked like an interception. It was amazing.
You talking about the touchdown? The third and
yes, it was nothing great. It was just methodically how he went through the progressions. And Anthony Miller, I have to give him kudos to him. He stepped up. Miller caught that first time. I was like, okay, he's dropping balls. Yeah, he sucks. And then you think, okay, just settle down. You got into the groove. And by the time the Bears went on that last drive, I put it out in the group chat. I was like, look, Bears won. This game's a wrap. It's over.
Look,
and I laughed because I was like, the game's not even over. But I was like, it's over.
But the thing about it was, I want to tell you what, pay Allen Robinson his money.
Yeah.
Give him his coins.
Yeah, you're gonna have to pay.
He's sacrificing. He's laying out for balls. That 37-yard touchdown that he made on that catch, literally, right. He should have never got there. Nobody could tackle him. And
the up and under.
Yeah.
And he pulled up and took off.
Right. And he was gone. That's a guy who's going to play for you. I think the Bears are energized now. Now you got a Nick Foles out here who's a real NFL quarterback. He's not just you always see these guys on the newspaper, on the news, and you go, why can't we ever have one of those quarterbacks? Well, we got a lower tier version of one of those quarterbacks, but at least we have an actual NFL ready quarterback. Now the question is, at this point in time, how much can he move this offense, can make it at least salvageable, at least so that they can score a couple of touchdowns a game, get 20, 21 points. Now can his defense hold on and play well? Because we did see this defense get run on a little bit. We did see a couple of things, a couple people break loose a little bit early. And so we're just wondering, is that a problem? Is that a 3-and-out Mitchell Trubisky type thing going on? Or is that a situation that, the Bears play that bend but don't break type of defense? So, but they held on to the back end. So, it was a good win. It was a good win for the Bears. Can't believe they're 3-0. Can't believe Nick Foles is actually in the driver's seat. You know, the Chicago sports might actually be on the way back up because they've been on the downside for a long time.
Well, mad shout out to Lovie Smith, always talking about the 4 quarters. And so the Bears, even with a loss, will have won at least the first quarter of the season.
Yeah.
Being 3-0 in history is a good thing.
Yeah.
But let's talk about that defense for a little bit. We saw, again, that Lovie Smith theory of bend but don't break.
Yeah.
Secondary, they're doing their thing. The rookies are stepping up. Young players are stepping in. My concern is that front line where you have that 2 gap, that gap and a half that you're supposed to be playing. Because we're used to the Chicago Bears playing 1 gap. They get up the A gap, they get up the B gap.
Yeah.
That's where they play. So how do you shore up that defensive line? How do you shore up those linebackers to get them better? Because they did give up running yards. They gave up some interior plays. How do you shore up that defense?
Go get Eddie Goldman. Figure out a way to see if you can get him to come back and play. Because that's who they're missing right now. They're missing that guy in the A gap on both sides, play side or on the back side, who you're going to have to double team or he's going to get busy. That's the reason why. Akeem Hicks today, I think, let me look at these stats here. Akeem Hicks, he had 3 solo tackles and 4 total, 1.5 sacks. So he was on the move today. But you would see a more aggressive Akeem Hicks if he doesn't have to work about double teams. And a lot of times Eddie Goldman was eating those double teams up in the middle. This is the reason why a Hampton and a Dent look so great, because you had guys like McMichael in the middle who were eating up double teams all the time. You know what I'm saying? And you have Fridge in there eating up double teams. Same thing now. You need that Eddie Goldman in there to shore up the middle of that defense. So that's why you start seeing guys start popping up the middle of that defense on the Bears. We don't really have we got really good safeties. We just don't have a great run-stopping linebacker group. I mean, these guys are smaller. They're not really big guys that are going to play stout at the line of scrimmage, but they can run with the back. So the Bears are really a team that's built for turf. I'm waiting to see they're built with some speed, and they're really built on those cornerbacks being able to guard one-on-one. We saw Fuller was able to guard one-on-one today. Johnson played better today. So that secondary has to play really well for the Bears to play well, because they're actually put out on an island. And the Bears are looking right now with a Khalil Mack and a Robert Quinn. They're trying to get to the pass rusher. I don't think they're really too concerned about stopping the run. They're going to stop the run, but they're not super concerned about it. They're concerned about getting to the passer. And we saw that today a little bit. They were able to get home a little bit on Matty Ice. He looked good before, but once they were able to start getting home a little bit, he started to not be as efficient in the second half as he had been in the first half. And that's what usually happens. So sometimes
it was a tale of 2 halves.
Yeah,
it was truly a tale of 2 halves.
Yeah. And so now
it was something I don't know.
No, go ahead. Did you lose me or did I lose you?
No, go ahead.
No. What I'm saying is now you have a situation that you have a guy. I don't think there's going to be any quarterback controversy right now. I think they don't really care if Trubisky is pouting, because he was pouting already as it was. You know, now it's time to put your big boy pants on, carry the clipboard, go bring some cupcakes for Nick Foles into the quarterback room, and learn how to be a real NFL quarterback. And hopefully you learn from Nick Foles how to read some defenses. And actually, this might be good for Mitchell Trubisky to sit behind Nick Foles and watch a professional do it, so that he can learn how to read defenses like pros do.
Will he ever be a pro quarterback, Jay?
He's a pro quarterback now. He's a pro quarterback now.
Will he ever be not even the prototypical? Is he?
Well,
is he really?
He's a pro quarterback. The problem is that there's a reason why there's only 30 guys in the world. 32 guys. I keep forgetting how many teams are in the league. There's only that many guys in the world who actually can start at the NFL quarterback. 32. There's only so many. I know it's weird. I want to say 30, but I know it's 32. There's a reason why there's only 32 guys in the world that can start at quarterback in the NFL. There's more guys qualified probably to fly the space shuttle than it is to play quarterback in the NFL. It's one of the hardest things in the world to do, and to be a starter in the NFL, and to go out here and then to be productive, be a top tier quarterback, top 15 quarterback in the NFL, special type of guy who's able to read defenses and understand what's going on. He's just one of those guys. A lot of people have failed. Trying to be quarterback. You know, he reminds me of a little bit of Byron Leftwich. You know, their completions are about the same. Their yardage is about the same. You know, they came in going to flame up at first. They flamed up, and then they flamed out. You know, Byron was hot there for a second, and he flamed out. So to me, a lot of times Mitchell reminds me of him. So it's just a problem now with the Bears. Are the Bears going to stick with Nick Foles, not put Mitchell Trubisky back in there, let him ride the bench, ride Nick Foles, and let's see where this is going to take you. That's where I'm interested in.
Yeah, it's interesting because if you look at the Bears, let's look at their next 5 opponents. In fact, the road does not get any easier for them. Next week, they are they'll be at home against the Colts, but they've got Tampa Bay coming in right after that. Then they head out on the road for a 2-game set with the Panthers, then the Rams, and then they come home, play the Saints on the 1st of November. They don't even get back into another division game until November 16th against the Vikings, and they don't face the Bears until after Thanksgiving. So right now, you're looking at them, and save for tonight's game with Green Bay, the Bears could be sitting on top of the division at 3-0. And the question is, Jay, are they going to be able to handle the likes of a Colts team that surged today, a Bucs team that has Tom Brady, and, you know, now you got the Rams whose offense is clicking, and probably by the time they meet the Saints, they'll be back at 100%. So are the Bears now ready for that type of offensive challenge and that push to keep moving forward?
Are they ready? I don't know. Do they have a better chance now that Nick Foles is actually at the helm? Yes, and yes. They have an actual chance. This is a good defense, and this is a good offensive team. They got good wide receivers. This is a good ball club. The issue is right now they just had a guy who could not drive the train. And if you can't drive the train and keep it on the tracks, it's going to crash and it's going to look bad. I think this team's going to look a lot better with Nick Foles at the helm. I think right now they have enough weapons around them that they're going to be able to use Matt Nagy's mind. Now that he has a person in there who understands the offense as well as he does, now they're going to be able to get the wrinkles knocked out, get the run game going. Now I think they're going to have to really work a different type of run scheme now that we understand that Tariq Cohen probably won't be back in there. David Montgomery's going to have to probably get more carries now. I'm probably going to see Cordell Patterson back there a lot more, which I don't want to see. He's a great athlete. I just want to see him back there carrying the football. So it's right now, it's just a situation that this offense is going to get better now. So they have a much better chance of dealing with the Tom Brady's and the Tampa Bays, dealing with the New Orleans Saints and Drew Brees, even though I think Drew Brees is on a decline right now. He hasn't been looking good. We'll see what happens later on. I mean, he's going to flash and look good, but I don't know. But Tampa Bay is going to be tough out here, real tough. And so, but they look better now. So we're going to take it for what it is. The Bears are 3-0. We can drink the Kool-Aid. And, I'm happier now than I was at the start of the game. You can rest assured about that.
I tell you, it's a lot. And you're looking at literally, and quite possibly, the Bears could be 4-0 next week. Going into Indianapolis, that's a winnable game for the Bears.
Yeah.
So they could finish the first half strong at a 4-0. And when you finish 4-0, I mean, unless it's an epic collapse where Mitchell Trubisky would probably have to come back as quarterback, you can at least get into the playoffs. My
hope now is that they get the ball out of Nick Foles' hand, protect him, hit these slant, but not have him pat the ball, standing tall in there, move him around a little bit, and let's keep him upright for the long run.
I think he was just a little rusty. hadn't had his timing, didn't have his legs up under him,
Yeah.
hadn't been out on the first team under fire. Now,
Yeah.
different from practice squad.
Yeah.
He hadn't been out under fire. But a lot of it's going to come with that run game. And I have to give you credit. I've come over to your side of thinking wherein I don't want to see Cordero Patterson but in the backfield.
No. Get him out the backfield. Put him in the slot somewhere. Let him use that speed against a linebacker. You know, he's got good hands. He's got great speed. You know, get him out there in the bubble screens and stuff like that. Because if he gets by you, he's gone. Do you know they said today he is probably the top ranked return man of all time? With his average? We're talking about Devin Hesterish.
It's what, like 25, 26 yards, something like that?
Over 30 return average.
You better shut the front door.
Over 30 return average.
Stop
They said he's one of the top return men in the league. He's so big, I just think he's going to get clacked, but he ain't got clacked yet. And rest assured, if he gets running, if he breaks out on you, he's gone.
Yeah. So, and it's funny, people forget about Ted Gwynn. You forget they have speed because they like little speed guys. I know it's going to be hard to replace Tariq Cohen. That's going to be very difficult to do because he brought a different dynamic, but they can move some of those little speed guys. Put Anthony Miller out there. Put Mooney out there.
I think now because of Tariq Cohen being injured, I hate to say it like this. This might be a positive for the Bears. Because now they're going to have to spread. They're going to have to spread that wealth of what he was able to do, running back wise, and in the short receiving game wise. Those little bubble screens, they're going to spread that wealth around a little bit, and they might get some other guys in play that normally might not have been in play if Tariq was still getting those snaps.
True.
Love you, Tariq.
Yeah, we love you. It just is the reality of what it is. And to go back to something you said earlier in the season. We keep talking about teams, what they don't have. Everybody keeps talking about what the Lakers don't have.
Right.
They don't have shooting. They don't have this. Yeah, but they have two things that are great. And their two things that are great are sometimes better. The sum of their parts are greater than the sum or whole of your parts. And when you've got a Bears team, just as you said, now who's able to look at, now how do we spread this offense around? Yeah. They may not have a lot of great pieces. They don't have the Pro Bowl pieces, but they've got enough. If you can go 4-0 in the NFL, regardless of who you are, you've got a shot. You have a definite shot to go. Yeah.
We're waiting to see how this is going to turn out, man. Hey, 3-0, we'll take it. We got both baseball teams in the playoffs. We got a new head coach for the Bulls. This is going to be Titletown, USA, right here off of Lake Michigan. Now the Detroit side.
Oh man, that'll be so great. And like if the Bulls trade for Chris Paul, and then they get.
We won't get Chris Paul. We're gonna get that. We're gonna get what's his name from the State Farm commercials. He's gonna show up. What's the guy's name?
Did you know? I didn't know for the longest that was Alfonso Ribeiro.
Wow.
I had no clue.
Wow, bro. Wow.
When I saw him, I was just like, oh, okay, that guy really kind of looks like Chris Paul. Wow. And then I saw another commercial. I was like, wait. Is that Carlton?
Yeah. A long way from the Fresh Prince, my friend.
Hey, those State Farm checks are just as good.
We'll take it, probably better. Probably better.
I didn't want to put it out there. I was going to say it's probably a heck of a lot better with those State Farm checks. But yeah, I'm looking forward to the Bulls signing Chris Paul and Joakim Noah, Derrick Rose.
Oh my God. Don't do it. Don't do it.
Taj Gibson.
Just bring everybody back.
And trading for Al Horford.
Oh my God. Yeah. Oh my God. Just don't do it.
They'll be the best, slowest team in the league.
Hey, and we're at halftime right now. And we see the Miami Heat are up 2 points, 62-60 at halftime. And you know, guys, we're getting ready to get out here to catch the rest of this game in a few minutes. So
yes, sir. We got to get ready to get out of here. So let's get ready to close the show out, sir. All right, Jay SiZZLE, you know how it is. You know what we got to do. We got to leave the people with something hot, something sizzling, something they can remember. Jay, leave the people with some fire.
10 minus 1 equals Nick Foles, baby. That's what I'm talking about. Number 9. Let's go.
I didn't even see that one coming. I had no idea. You could. Are you serious? Are you going to get a Nick Foles jersey?
Man, I'm going to get Nick Foles tattoo. I just don't know where yet.
All right. Okay, listen, if you're not following us on Instagram, Twitter, if you're not following us on YouTube or any other medium, you can always find us at hashtag #skillet_sports. There you can find Iron Skillet Sports, where you can find the sizzle, hot money. You can find everything that's there. Boyd's Noise. You find the best information and the best talk in the region right there. All you got to do is find Iron Skillet Sports. We are the hottest information in the thing. We're hot. We're so fire. There should be a word that's better than fire. Like lava.
Wow.
Like hot, steamy lava. We're steaming.
That's for another show, sir.
Oh, okay. Well, for my man Jay Sizzle, I'm G Sizzle. We're getting ready to get out of here. But remember, you're listening to the Sizzle, the hottest sports talk in the 219. We are the talk of the 219, and we'll see you on the other side.
Did you know that you